Hey there, Jody here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be doing my November and December of 2024 reading wrap-up. Yes, I know I am super late with this video anyways. So before I jump on into today's video, I just want to first say that because I reviewed every book that I'll be talking about in today's video on my channel already, in this reading wrap-up, I will only briefly go over what the books I read are about and my thoughts on them. So without any further ado, let's get on to today's video. So in November 2024, I read a total of 3 books. The first book I read was The Death of Vivek OJ by Akwaeke Emezi. The Death of Vivek OJ is about Vivek's mother opening the front door to her home only to discover her son Vivek's body dead on the ground before her, wrapped up in a colorful blanket. From there, the story goes back and forth in time, where we get to learn who Vivek was when he was alive and what led to his death. I really like this book quite a lot. The story is one that you just won't forget after reading it. This is definitely a story that will stay with you. The story in this book is a heartbreakingly tragic one, but also an incredibly moving story as well about gender, self-identity, friendship, family, and acceptance. Lastly, I can't talk about this book and not mention the writing. This story was beautifully written. The writing in this book really grabs a hold of your attention and continues to hold your attention until the very last page. My star rating for The Death of Vivek OJ was 5 stars. The Death of Vivek OJ is definitely a heavy read that deals with a lot of heavy topics, but I can't recommend this book enough if you're looking for a really good literary fiction book to read. The second book I read in November was The Reunion by Kayla Olson. The Reunion is about the cast of Girl on the Verge, a once major TV teen drama who are reuniting to film a 20th anniversary reunion special. The star of the series, Liv, and her once best friend and on-screen love interest, Ransom, have barely spoken since filming wrapped on the series finale many years ago. The rest of the story is basically about Liv and Ransom reuniting and finding out what exactly it was that happened all those years ago that led to the end of their friendship. While I really did like this book, there were a few things about this book that I didn't like, such as how I did think that the story started off a bit slow, as well as how I didn't care for all the fandom stuff in the book. Besides those 2 things though, I absolutely loved this book, and I just had the best time reading it, honestly. And with this being a romance novel and all, I have to mention how good the romance in the book was. The romance in this book was an incredibly intense, slow burn that was very, very swoon-worthy. My star rating for The Reunion was 5 stars. And I would say if you're looking for a really good second chance and friends to lovers romance, I highly recommend The Reunion to read. So the last book I read in November was The Lions of Fifth Avenue by Fiona Davis. The Lions of Fifth Avenue is a story that follows 2 timelines. The first timeline takes place in New York City in 1913, where we are following Laura Lyons. Laura's husband, Jack, works as a superintendent for the New York Public Library, and at some point during Jack's time working there, books start to go missing. The other timeline in the story takes place in New York City, but now in 1993, where we are now following Laura's granddaughter, Sadie. Sadie works at the New York Public Library and is putting together an exhibit for the library. As Sadie is working on the exhibit, books once again start to go missing. And the rest of the story is basically about finding out exactly how these 2 timelines and the missing books connect to one another. I really like this book. This was an on-the-edge-of-your-seat page-turner, as well as an incredibly sad and heartbreaking story about missed chances and things left unsaid. This book will definitely break your heart, but this book will also very much lift you up and give you hope as well. My star rating for The Lions of Fifth Avenue was 5 stars. And I would say if you're looking for a really great historical fiction book to read, I highly recommend The Lions of Fifth Avenue. Also, for those of you interested in books and book clubs, The Lions of Fifth Avenue is a Good Morning America book club pick. So now moving on to the books that I read in December of 2024. In December of 2024, I read a total of 2 books. The first book I read was Snowblind by Christopher Golden. Snowblind is about a massive blizzard that occurs in a small town in Massachusetts. And once the storm is over, life in this town is very different from what life was like there before the storm arrived. I really like this book. This book is perhaps the best atmospheric book that I have ever read. As you're reading the story, you literally feel as though you, the reader, are too experiencing what it would be like to be in the midst of the storm along with everyone else in the town. This was a really fast-paced and really well-written story about how someone's life can change forever in the matter of a moment. My star rating for Snowblind was 5 stars. And I would say if you're looking for a horror book to read that's scary but not too scary, as well as a really great atmospheric book, I highly recommend Snowblind. And now for the last book that I read in December. That would be Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. So Emergency Contact is about Penny and Sam, who end up becoming each other's emergency contact thanks to a random chance encounter. From there, the two end up talking to one another any chance they can get through text messages, and soon both start to realize how much they've come to mean to one another. I absolutely love this book. I love the characters, I love the story. The story was a very kind and sweet one about two people meeting and finding a real and genuine connection with one another. I also absolutely love the writing in the book. The writing was just really good. The only thing about this book that I didn't care for was that I felt it took too long for Penny and Sam's emergency contact moment to happen, which is the moment in the story that ultimately does drive the story forward. And that moment in the book doesn't happen until just before page 100. Despite the one issue that I had with the book, I absolutely loved and thoroughly enjoyed my time reading this book, and so with all that being said, I gave Emergency Contact 5 stars. And I would say if you're looking for an exceptionally good YA book to read, I highly recommend Emergency Contact. I wouldn't recommend this book though if you don't feel like waiting around almost 100 pages for a book story to start. So those are the books that I read in November and December of 2024. And I read some really great books and found a few new favorites, and that's always fun. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hoped I helped you discover a new book today along the way as well. And until next time, bye.